What's good, everybody? Before we get started with today's episode, big ups to the members of the Patreon.
Yup.
Patreon.com/veterans minimum. Remember, we just asked for $1. We're going to 5-figure our way in Patreon with $1 American dollar each month. Shout out to Arabia, Daniel Gibson, Mahul Patel, Thomas Robinson, Abel Rezin, Ben Kotzian, Christopher Velasquez, Derek Plates, Devin Rendon, Dylan Chadwick, Jerry Shapiro, Mike Stevens, Nick Crummich, Nicholas Messina, and Jordan Riley. Listen, we get thousands of people listening to the show each episode. If we could get $1 from everyone,
it would make our
that'd
life.
be a lot of dollars, right?
Yeah.
Like a chick at 11 in Miami. Just a lot of dollars, just making it rain, right? So follow us on Patreon, subscribe to the Patreon. The show today, we talk about the Jontay Porter betting scandal.
Oh, it was
A lot of fucking wild texts coming from that.
yep.
We talk about some iconic sports betting scandals. We talk about the James Krause story in the UFC. Shout out to UFC 311 this weekend. Make sure you guys tune in. If you haven't listened to the show on Monday, we have Marab's coach, Coach John Wood, my head coach over at Syndicate. We have Mackenzie Pavicic. She's a reporter and producer, on-air talent for the UFC as well. Really fun conversation. We talk about the best available coaching jobs in the NFL. Pretty fun debate there. And then we run through the best weekend in all of football divisional round. And we give out the locks.
Oh yeah.
The locks, baby. Not the rap group from New York. Though we do fuck with Jadakiss and them boys. Listen, leave us a comment. Shout out to all of you. Brian, cue up the theme music.
Yeah. Nick Dad, baby. We the new label.
Yeah. Now this the black sheep, sticking its home. I need a crib like I'm Gatsby.
I need it.
In hand, just understand
My pocket's that deep.
with nothing to prove. I ain't got nothing to do. When they can't compete and I got nothing to lose.
Yes. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Veterans Minimum, the number one sports betting vibe on the internet. I'm your host, Nick Dais. All things Nick Dais, do a curveball at you, George, are at Nick Dais 10. All things Veterans Minimum are at Veterans Minimum. To my left, my dog, who my dad said looks like a fucking gangster, a smart gangster when he has the glasses on, though he doesn't have the glasses on now. Mr. George Carmona.
Well, I do have the glasses on. They're invisible glasses. I got them on Amazon yesterday. So I'm throwing a curveball to the people right now because that's all they're going to be wondering. Like, can I see the glasses at all? But no, it's really good. The reviews were excellent on Amazon. And yeah, overnight shipping is changed the world for the better. So I get to wear the invisible glasses today. But yeah, when you told me your pop said that, I was like, damn right, dude. Damn right. The confidence has been through the roof since I went bald. Kind of went down a little bit when I fucked up shaving and I had to go with the mustache, but we're back. The beard took, what, a week, Nick?
Yeah.
I love that for our viewers that they get to see like, okay, George was mustache, no beard, and then 3 episodes from now, it's back to normal.
Oh, nah, you guys won't see me clean shaven. I look fucking awful. I can't do it, bro. It's bad.
When was the last time you went clean shave?
During the pandemic? Like, I hate it the moment. This is probably as low as it'll go, right? And I did this myself because my barber had to reschedule today. But I like getting haircuts on Monday because then we film Mondays and Wednesdays. Fun fact, behind the scenes. So I'd rather look nice for the camera. I usually stay home on the weekends for the most part. So, but dude, I have so many white hairs, bro, that like this here, I love how it looks. Even though you could see some of the white, it looks sexy to me. At least for me. I like it.
Dude, as soon as I could go full white beard, that's going to be an iconic shift. Yeah, so is that what you're waiting for? You're waiting for
No, but for me, when I let the beard grow out, it looks awful because it's really white.
Right.
It looks
right.
nasty, but
Yep.
now it looks nice and clean cut. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. The salt and pepper look.
I didn't do too bad, bro. I kind of butchered it over here. If we could get off this camera, it would be nice because it's upsetting me. Just thank you, Brian. You're the
That was
man,
an
bro.
excellent job,
He threw me
Brian.
under the bus, this motherfucker. I know what he does, man. Yeah, I get the middle finger there. Love you too, bro. Love you too. Real quick, housekeeping notes. We are at 27,500 YouTube subscribers. Let's try to get to 30,000, right? We picked up a lot of steam coming back from that break, which was dope. NFL preview show, all that stuff. Still very happy, right? The goal was 25K, so we surpassed it. But it's one of those things like once you get your goal, now you want more, right?
Yeah, bro. Never satisfied.
Never satisfied, but continue to rate, review, subscribe, leave us comments on Spotify. You could watch the video of the podcast on Spotify too. It's been a pretty cool feature over there lately. Obviously, Apple, leave a review. We're getting more active on Twitter as well. I'll never call it X. I just did now, but it's Twitter. TikTok, we're not going away. Thoughts on this? I've been wanting to ask you about this.
Yeah.
Thoughts on this because I'm someone that loves outrage culture. People are bugging out. The cheap content right now is, if this is the last time you see me on TikTok, it's been fun. You know, all that corny shit. It's not going nowhere, bro. Someone's going to buy it.
It's extremely corny. Stop.
Yeah.
Like, stop doing it. You know it's not going to. TikTok's gone away almost how many times now?
1,000.
Yeah. Like, bro, you really think now's the time?
I just think there's too much money involved in it.
100%.
And I don't think they're going to do that. And shouts to Wayne, Wayne the creator. I saw his Instagram post, and it was hilarious because he just listed a bunch of different social media companies that were supposed to be banned. And it's literally every single one you could think of.
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook, you're going to be fine. While it's around still, and it's going to be around, make sure you're following us on TikTok also. Veterans Minimum on TikTok. Social media manager George, crushing it over there. I think we get the most engagement by far.
Oh my God. Every post so far. It's weird though, Nick, because we are going to have to shift a little bit. Football is our like bread and butter.
Yeah.
Because, bro, we got Coach of the Year John Wood coming in, and then those posts, all our football fans were like, hey, what the fuck are you guys doing here? And I'm like, no. It's a UFC champion coach. Like, you guys, trust me here. And they're like, no, bro.
No,
talk about how the Texans suck.
One of my favorite comments ever, dude. Favorite comment ever. I got DM'd on TikTok. And the dude was like, him and I were going at it, but like playful, you know?
Right.
He was like, I dove more into your content. You're pretty good at this. And I was like, thanks, man. I was like, that's actually a cool comment, you know? And because he was frying me about the anytime touchdown. He was like, Cortland Sutton, Barkley L. I was like, Cortland Sutton was not mentioned in that. He's like, yeah, it was, bro. I went back and watched. I was like, I think it was pretty much the running back parlay. And he sent me a link to a Cortland Sutton video like 2 months ago.
Oh my God.
I was like, bro, come on, man. I was like, we crushed it. Like, we've been crushing it this year. You know, the anytime touchdowns on a serious note, right? That's been carrying the show. Like the individual ones. I think the record is like 52% on the year on the spread picks. Obviously, Trust Me was through the roof. It's 13-6 now if we include the playoff. But anytime touchdown has been a monster because a lot of guys scored 2 touchdowns. Like the Mark Andrews alone made up for, because he was 35-1 to score the 2 touchdowns that Monday night game against the Bucks. That made up for like 25 losses on straight bets. You know, that's the cool thing about these props. So yeah, that was a pretty funny comment, man. Love the engagement we've been getting everywhere, honestly. So please continue to support, share the content, all that fun stuff. We haven't done this in a while.
Yes.
Fan question.
I love
it back because we've been, the playoffs are ramping up. Love the fan questions. We'll be doing a lot more of these as the football season starts to wind down, and especially in the off season, we'll definitely be having 1 to 2 an episode. Whatever you guys want us to cover or discuss, please send the questions over. But this one is from Nicholas, not me. Good name though. thoughts on the Jontay Porter reports of him texting bettors during games on how much he's going to be playing and actually giving them play-by-play analysis in between timeouts and going back to the locker room for treatment?
Yeah.
Lead us off. What do you think about this latest report?
Oh, it just gets so much worse for Jontay Porter, man. And the worse it gets for him, the more bad I feel for the family. And then Michael Porter Jr. I mean, talk about a dude that for the rest of his career, you know the NBA's tapping into your phones. You know that you are being watched under a microscope. Definitely sucks. But for Jontay Porter, the text messages being released is just about the worst possible thing that you can imagine. These texts, as Nick was stating earlier, were talking about how Jontay Porter knew that he was going to get put in like the second squad, but he knew that I'd be able to get out of the game. And it's low-key genius. You'd think if you're going to injure anywhere on your body, right? Like, what's the one place that you could get injured that would ensure that you don't come back in? And bro just would say, like, my eye.
My eye.
And I'm like, that's genius. Because if you can't see, you can't play, bro. So it's like, okay, if you ever need to not do something ever in life, you could just say, oh, my eye's bugging me. I can't see that well. And it works. It worked in the NBA. Nick, just isn't it nuts that I can't help but
I can't get over the fact that he was complaining and saying about his eye, bro. That's hilarious.
he would play 2 minutes and then he'd come off and say, "Oh, my eye." And the coach has to be like, "You've got to be kidding me, dude. You're a fucking get the fuck back in there." And he's, "Nope, I got to go to the trainer. I got to put some ice on this eye."
Bro, some of these texts are insane, right? Like, by the way, it's coming up on a year, right? So, like, at the end of, I think it was like the 26th or 25th. I didn't make note of that, but I remember seeing it in this article. It's coming up on a year. It was January of 24. So this is coming up on a year. He's pled guilty already. More people, a sixth person was charged on Monday. Federal sports betting case. Anytime federal comes around, buckle up. Shit's going to go south. But the text would read, hit unders for big numbers. No blocks, no steals. I'm going to play first 2 to 3 minute stint off the bench. Then when I get subbed out, tell them my eye killing me
Again, which leads me to believe that at some of these practices, he had started to plant that his eye was going to be injured. You know, he's, coach, I've been struggling to see lately. Like, my vision's really thrown off. Oh my God, Nick. So did you see the person, though, that got caught? That was the person he was texting?
No.
So the person's name was 39-year-old Shane Hennon. He was arrested here in Las Vegas on Sunday, where he was attempting to board a one-way flight to Colombia. Hennon had multiple cell phones and around $10,000 cash when he was arrested.
Listen, if you're going to flee the country, Colombia would be my number one pick. 1,000%. So listen, the vision is clear. The approach is terrible, but
one way.
Hilarious. One way, yeah, you ain't coming back. Trying to get out of here. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Look, on a serious note, I know we're fucking around a lot, but I hope athletes realize this, because the NBA money is really dumb. Like, really, really dumb.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this guy was going to get a super max, but if he just would sign a contract with someone,
which he
16, 20 million, 4 for 20, you're the third center on a roster. Like, bro, you gave all this up for like $80K. It's wild. And also, you're tarnishing your brother's name. Your brother has signed a major monster contract with the Nuggets. This is nuts. And I think you're going to have these scenarios popping up. And it's always going to be at the minor level as far as the ranking of the superstar to star to 12th man off the bench. It's always going to be the college kids, right? Like the kid from fucking, I don't know, like name a low-level fucking Big Ten school, like a Nebraska, a fucking wide receiver 5. That's the guy you could get because he ain't making NIL money like that.
Right.
So it's always going to be at that minor level. It's never going to be your LeBrons it's never going to be a scandal like that. It's always the guys that you can entice. Right? I remember I would always make this case. When sports betting first got legalized, the conversation was always about the integrity of the game. It's gonna tarnish it. You know, guys are gonna be throwing games. I'm like, not at the highest level. Where you should be concerned is Division I college basketball, the point guard for like an Arizona, or just like these low level schools that are not. And by the way, at the time when I was saying this was like 2020, 2021, when it first like really got popping with the sports betting. It was something you're not going to be able to convince a Jason Tatum to throw. Like, how much money can you possibly pay him? He's like, bro, I make $500,000 a game.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna give me a duffel bag of $100,000? Like, no, I ain't gonna do nothing for me, bro. But a guy on a 10-day deal, a 2-way contract in the NBA, these guys in the NFL that don't have guaranteed contracts, that's who it could be enticing to. But now you see the repercussions.
Oh, they're going to make an example.
Federal. Yeah, you're making an example. They already did. Lifetime ban, bro.
Yeah, but
it's LG's for you. You ain't coming back.
Lifetime ban is one thing, but you know, a crazy amount of time behind bars. I know when we first had brought up like that they said he was going to be sentenced. Did we say 3 to 4 years? But I feel like it could have been more. Now I'm reading in the article it could be up to 20 years.
You're talking about jail time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's where they're gonna really.
Right. I thought you meant the NBA because the NBA it's lifetime. Like that's
No. That's all you're gonna get.
Playing.
Yeah. No, but for jail time is where I feel like the hardest or harshest example is going to be made, and the people that were the co-conspirators, like the Shane dude. What a shit spot to be in for a normal ass person. You think like, at what point in time is the information that you're receiving illegal? This is very clear and direct, but what about the beat reporter that noticed that one dude actually wasn't participating in practice and the newspapers reported him as a limited participant, right? And you know that he's probably not going to get as many carries. Like, at what point in time does the insider info become illegal? That will be the thing that is most interpreted, or the laws will try to interpret over the next, 20 years.
I love that you bring that up because immediately my mind went to week 1 with McCaffrey.
Yep.
Now, that's where I think it becomes suspicious and you could get in trouble if you don't report it, which is what the Niners didn't do.
Right.
They didn't say at any point even doubtful, really. Which now in the NFL, they changed. Like, there's no more probable. It's questionable, doubtful, out. And questionable is the new probable. Doubtful is still doubtful. And out is out. That's where it's an issue. If I report, fucking Saquon Barkley, full participant, he's healthy. And then you realize out of nowhere he's not playing, or, he comes out first possession of the game and he's limping already. You're like, hold on, bro. You told us he was a full go.
Right.
That's where I think the insider information, beat writer stuff. I mean, dude, a lot of these sports books, I don't want to say they work with the beat writers.
They do. I agree with you.
But they're looped in.
They're tapped in.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
the same network.
And immediately, anytime you get a report from an Adam Schefter, Alvin Kamara suffering from illness, questionable. Immediately, Alvin Kamara props will be taken down. The backup running backs props will be taken down.
Yeah.
Because then you don't know. You don't want to hang a bad number. Like, remember the Craig Reynolds shit?
Yep.
You know, it was 13-1 when you read it. Mind you, we record on Wednesday. And Sunday afternoon, it's plus 180. And everyone in the comments is like, bro, where the hell did you see 13? Well, we did on Wednesday before all this information came out. So that's the thing. If it's not reported, that's where it becomes suspicious.
And it becomes suspicious for these, or like the NFL and the NBA. I was about to say the association, but the NFL is the league. Because there is definitely a path to the NFL working with FanDuel and DraftKings specifically, since that's who they're sponsored by, and saying, hey, DraftKings, do you guys want an unreal amount of money to start this year? We know everybody and their mother is going to be betting this Christian McCaffrey prop. We know that he's not going to be playing. Enjoy it. You know, like, this is our gift to you, FanDuel or DraftKings or every fucking sports book they made out. And so they'll never get penalized for that. But you got little Shane here talking about Jontay Porter going into the locker room with an eye injury, and he's probably going to face jail time for that. So it's all relative. Whenever there's things like this that happen, I'm like, there's equally bad shit happening by the people that are making the rules that one day it'll come to light, bro. Like, I'm so glad you brought up Christian McCaffrey. You gotta be crazy to think that some people didn't capitalize big time off of that.
Yeah.
And are they going to get in trouble for capitalizing on that?
Well, if you do work with the NFL in any capacity, you can't bet.
Right.
Like, I had a friend that worked with Major League Baseball. He couldn't have any betting apps on his phone at all.
Mm-hmm.
And he was so paranoid because it was like his dream job. He's like, I don't even want to entertain it. Like, hey, man, here's $20. So he's like, nah, I'm not. And he used to bet. Like, he was a fucking piece of shit degenerate. But when he got that, he was like, yo, I don't even want it to be fucking floated in the idea. He stopped coming on the pod, too. He was like, I can't fuck with it. I was like, totally get it. But for the most part, yeah, bro, like, you don't think someone at the bar, I work for a team, right? I'm not betting, but I'm at the bar with my friends. Dude, how's McCaffrey look? I don't know. I don't think he's going to play this week.
What do you mean he's not going to play this week?
That in a normal conversation,
yeah,
bam, he goes over there, he bets his unders. Like that, I'm sure it happens, bro. I'm sure it happens for sure.
Yeah.
I want to mention a couple of scandals.
Ooh, I like this.
So, just a little timeline. And when you hear these, because we've spoke about it in the past, how kind of hypocritical the leagues are also.
Mm-hmm.
It's the FanDuel arena, and FanDuel is on the court. DraftKings is on the court. The BetMGM Skybox. It's like, bro, it's everywhere, right? May of 2018, Supreme Court strikes down federal prohibitions on sports gambling. That led to New Jersey legalizing it. They were the first ones outside of Nevada, right? Then the NFL in 2019 suspended Josh Shaw. He was the first active player, though he was on injured reserve, to be suspended for betting. He bet openly at a sports book in Las Vegas on his own team at the time in a parlay. So he played for the Cardinals. He was on IR, happened to be in Vegas, threw him in a parlay, got suspended. University of Colorado in 2020. Sponsorship deal with PointsBet, 5-year deal. Capital One Arena in Washington becomes the first professional sports arena in the U.S. with a fully operating sports book in it. Mind you, in Europe, it's there's kiosks outside of stadiums where you could go and you could bet.
Genius.
Fantastic. Listen, as the degenerate, I love it.
Give me a kiosk, bro.
I love it. Sporting KC, the soccer team, Felipe Hernandez suspended for betting on MLS games. You had Calvin Ridley in the NFL suspended for a year for betting. You had Miles Austin suspended for a year, wide receivers coach for the Jets, former NFL player. You had Jamison Williams, and amongst a bunch of other players, C.J. Moore, Quintez Cephas, Shaka Toney, them suspended. Alabama fires head coach Brad Bohannon after linked to suspicious bets. NFL suspended more players: Isaiah Rodgers, Rashad Berry, Demarius Taylor, Jameson Williams got reinstated for betting. NHL, like obviously we have Otani too, and this shit has happened. And then also, like, let's not forget, bro, we're MMA fans. UFC, you have the James Krause story.
That one's really famous.
James Krause was like an iconic story. You know what's crazy? I don't know if you know this. He was on the pod once.
I
During the
hope
pandemic.
you understand how ironic that is. Like, it's extremely ironic.
Well, at the time, but here's the thing. At the time, the show wasn't like, it was still, because a big part of the show is betting, but like, it's a sports show.
Yeah.
And, you know, I didn't come up with this phrase, best sports betting vibe on the internet, until like last year. I started asking people in the studio. I'm like, yo, how do you describe your show in a sentence? And now I ask people with their content. I'm like, yo, explain to me your content in a sentence. And then I didn't have an answer. And I was like, what could it be? Everyone says I'm a vibe. Sports betting, best sport. All right, cool. Easier to market what exactly this show is, right?
Boom.
So I had met James Krause in Vegas at a UFC event.
UFC manager had a roster of what?
He had
like
a gym.
150?
I don't know if he had 150, but I think he was a owner in Missouri of a gym.
Got it.
Glory, I think it was called. You know, kind of journeyman, had a successful run in the UFC. Was cornering guys, and it's one of the more iconic like betting scandals. It all started with him going on Ariel Helwani, and he says that he makes more money betting than he did fighting. Then the UFC comes out later that year and says, if you're an active UFC fighter, you can't bet on fights. And then the thing that really blew up was Derek Minner was a fighter of his. He was cornering him. And James Krause at the time had this like crazy Discord. And he told everyone to bet a certain thing. And like the line movement was outrageous. Like the guy that Nerdin Benke, I definitely butchered his name, but that's who was fighting Derek Minner at UFC Fight Night 214. He goes from plus 300 to plus 155 by knockout. Minner gets knocked out in 67 seconds. He had an injury going into the fight. Anytime there's a massive line movement,
right,
and you don't see it happen, it's super suspect. Like Brian Ortega fought Yair Rodriguez, and in the warm-up, he like jumps up, lands, and his ankle like twists. And the line went crazy in favor of Yair because like everyone saw him get injured. You're like, holy shit, he might have just blew out his Achilles. What the hell? He ends up winning the fight. But yeah, that you at least saw him get hurt. That's different. It's like when a fighter is in the cage and he gets leg kicked and you visibly see him limping to the stool. You're like, all right, he's hurt. He's gonna keep fighting because they're fucking animals. But that's different from this thing. A couple weeks later, they open up the investigation. Then they stopped taking bets on any Krause fight that he was featured in. Then he got suspended, disappeared, and the last time we saw him recently, about a couple months ago, he's doing a online real estate course. So he basically like went into the real estate route, like a 31-year-old bottle girl in Vegas.
That's so
Once they
funny.
turn 30, they're real estate agents. So
Throwing
a lot of
shots
parallels there.
and empty homes.
Yeah.
A lot of open houses. The crazy thing I could add to that is the week that it was starting to like gain traction. The studio I used to work at was literally right next door to the UFC building. And my boss at the time was going to see Dana, and it was a time in which there was a lot of FBI presence at the UFC building, and that never happens.
Oh, Dana White even came out and said, like, yo, if you bet on fights, it was around the time when he was like, yo, if you illegally stream the UFC, I'm going to find you. And those memes are going around. But he was saying, yo, fighters, good. Federal. Like I was saying before, anytime you're federal, it's just not to mess around with, bro.
Nope. And man, you weren't a part of that Discord, Nick?
I was not, no. I don't tell anyone's picks. I've said this before.
Damn, even an insider like that. I mean, that would have been
Good point.
that'd
Good
be pretty
point.
Tough not to.
Tough not to, for sure.
Yeah.
But no, I'm pretty stubborn sometimes, bro. I know I've told you this too. Where like, that's how like Trust Me originated, that theme pick.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we could have Bully Walters, we could have Bill Krakenberger in here, we could have Maddie Betts. Shouts to Maddie. You're not swinging me if I really like this.
Yeah.
Now you might swing me in the sense of if I wanted to put 200 on it, maybe I put 100. But for me to completely not bet it, nah. I feel like I know enough in the sports scene and in the betting space where, and I've done well for myself. It's not a profession by any means. I never ever have said I'm a professional sports bettor. I think the approach is, and then we have a lot of it for content too, like the anytime touchdown parlays and shit like that. But for the most part, I've never ever claimed that I am. But the approach to it, a lot of it is like I have a lot of people that listen to the show that are in the betting space are like, man, your approach is super sharp. And to me, it's kind of the same thing. Makes me feel good.
I feel you.
But that's how, like, to answer your initial question, nah, because I'm pretty. I'm like, nah, I think I know more than you, bro. Just respectfully.
Yeah. I was about to say that all these athletes should maybe start a Patreon and they should just upload like how their team is doing every week behind a paywall. There'd be like a good way to like sell picks without selling picks. Probably get a shit ton of money. That I would only listen, Nick, if that was available. I would pay $5 to $10 a month to listen to how the team is really doing on the inside. Now all these players do their podcasts like
That's what I was gonna say.
I'm on Ross St. Brown does it too, but I mean at the same time it's like they're not giving us the full extent of what a player could give you. And so that's what I'm saying. Players, put that shit behind a paywall. That isn't illegal. You're not betting on it. People are coming out with podcasts all the time. Make money off of your expertise and knowledge.
Yeah, it's a fascinating conversation, man. Being in the betting space and feeling so passionate about it. When you hear these athletes get caught up in it, man, it is nuts, you know? And it goes back to that old saying that money earned is not as good as money won.
Yep.
And that could be that gold rush for them. That could be that addiction that they get their fix on. So it's dangerous, bro. It's dangerous. And, you know, I'll stand by it. If you bet, and one of the reasons why I think this also became such a big scandal, just to wrap up this conversation, he's purposely putting his team in danger by playing bad. And I know he ain't a superstar, but like Ivan Toney is a soccer player in Europe. He was playing in the Premier League at the time. Bro would bet on his team to win and for him to score. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt for that.
I will too.
Because you're betting in favor of your team. So you scoring helps your team win. I know it's not allowed. But to me, I'd be like, he didn't bet on himself to lose. That I'd be like, all right, bro, now it makes sense why, you know, you have a defender beating, you're just stopping, or like you have a wide open net and you put it into the fucking upper deck. That's different.
Bro, let's get the NBA to do this. You start getting these NBA players to put crazy amounts of money on their point totals and for them to win. We might have a better fucking product on the court.
You have 30 burgers.
Bro, they all just go
NBA
isoball.
record, 19 players have 30 points.
It's like, oh, you guys can do this nightly. Oh, shocker.
So you guys could play better.
Insane.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, you're welcome, Adam Silver. There you go. Be the first commissioner to allow players to bet on themselves for the positive openly. Can you imagine how sick Jontay Porter would be? I'd probably kill myself.
Oh my God.
In jail?
Bro, dude.
Yeah.
You would put your head through a wall. 100%. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yo, it got to be the same thing. Like, you know, God bless the dead, Pete Rose. What about him?
Yeah. Never will be in
What about the NFL for years being like, betting isn't a big part of our appeal and our ratings and our game? It is. And then they put a team in Vegas. And now every NFL team has a partnership with a sports book.
Shocker.
So, yeah. Let us know what you guys think about this conversation. We got to move on to some NFL. George, we were going to dedicate a whole segment to this, but I feel like the games should be top priority. But I do want to touch on some of the coaching stuff that's been going on.
For sure, dude.
So I have a list of available coaching
spots.
I want you to tell me which one you think is the most appealing.
All right.
Bears, Cowboys, Jaguars, Raiders, Saints, the New York Football Jets. Which one would you pick?
Did you list the Cowboys in there?
Yeah.
Okay. The Cowboys. I think you have, honestly, the appeal of the star, a fresh new beginning in Dallas. That to me seems like the spot I want to be. Although you have Dak, CD Lamb, and Micah Parsons all potentially next year making 60% of your team's overall cap. If you find a way to make it work, not a bad three pieces to start with. Some playoff experience. Give me the Cowboys. Which one do you think is the most appealing?
My mind immediately goes to two things. Draft and cap space.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say New England originally, but now they got Mike Vrabel, best pound-for-pound coach in the NFL. What he did with Tennessee.
Worst to first?
Worst to first candidate. Will definitely be live with him.
Yep.
And especially if you like Drake May, too. Like, he checks the box for second-year MVP push. We've seen a trend. They need some weapons.
No, I agree with you.
Shitload of weapons.
Yeah.
But they also have $127 million in cap space.
Hey.
The next one I would pick, all things considered, the Raiders. $98 million in cap space. They got a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
It's Vegas. You know, it's an appealing city. I know the division is brutal now because now you have no quarterback. You have no quarterback, and the quarterbacks you got to go through. Say what you want about Justin Herbert. I know the stock has never been lower, but it's also a guy that made the playoffs, and you got to play him twice a year. You got to play Bo Nix twice a year, and then we know about the current GOAT in Pat Mahomes. I do think that they got pieces there that you like. Like, bro, Brock Bowers.
Oh, stud.
Max Crosby.
Spillane has been a rather steady piece for the defense.
Spillane has been pretty solid. Jacoby Myers had 1,000 yards this year. No one would have guessed that.
And their offensive line wasn't like crazy terrible. Like they had a couple.
It wasn't great. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, but it's something. They're young, so like another year together will definitely help them.
But like, bro, you have the cap space now.
How much is their cap space?
$98 million.
Nice.
So I would say the Raiders is pretty appealing.
And if you are a coach that's qualified enough, that could be a job in which you get both. You get to be the GM and the head coach, which there's only a few candidates in here that I figure would probably even want that headache. There's actually really just one. Like Pete Carroll's tossing his name out there for a lot of these jobs.
Bro, he's 100.
I know, but he's putting his name into the hat.
I know, but like that's the thing. That's the thing that is it even a term ageist?
It is.
Be ageist.
Yeah.
I don't want my coach to be 73, bro. He'll be 73. And look, he's energetic, right? We've seen him on the sidelines and all that, and like he don't look 73, but. Bro, there's been a massive trend. They call it the Sean McVay effect. Have you heard about this?
Of course, yeah.
Ever since he got hired, the average age of NFL coaches has gone down drastically. And there was also a running joke for the longest time that, all you got to do is be a McVay friend and you'll get an interview, right? Zach Taylor, Kevin O'Connell. Think about what Washington had, bro. The iconic graphic of McDaniel, LaFleur, Shanahan, and McVay.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just unbelievable. And I would want a younger coach. Or if I get an established guy, like if someone's like a Mike Tomlin, right?
Yeah.
I think, look, even though we said Mike Tomlin should not step away from the Steelers, we also said that if he got let go on Tuesday, by Saturday, he's holding up a jersey of a new team.
Yep.
So I want someone that could establish a culture. I want someone that's young, and I want someone that's a fucking gangster and a leader, bro. That's what I would want. And I just think Pete Carroll in 70, he'll be 73 when the season starts. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
It's tough.
It is. I wonder yeah, the game towards the end of his career definitely seemed to passed him up a bit. People always gave him shit for like all the different shitty OCs that he's had. Can't even list off the names because they were so mediocre. I just think he's the ultimate football culture guy. Like, I think if your team is missing football culture, he can help provide that. And for the Raiders, I think they're missing that. Like, I think the Raiders like went tough at the beginning with Antonio Pierce, but I think they've also like lost sense to like what a good team does and how a good team operates. I'll take Pete to kind of reinvigorate that, but enough with him. He's the only one that would have fit the mold of GM,
both,
and coach.
Yeah, you know what made no sense? Firing McCarthy. Why do you fire McCarthy this year when you should have done it last year with that loss?
So
that's the one that's the most head scratching.
The website that I was reading this on, he was listed not as fired, but as a free agent. Come on, bro. We all know, okay? Your contract was over. They were either going to re-up or they weren't going to re-up. They didn't technically fire you, but you got fired. I just found that to be hilarious. They marked him out as a free agent.
Can I tell you my two favorite candidates?
Go ahead.
Both of them are playing this weekend.
All right.
Well, not playing. They're coaching this weekend. I love Aaron Glenn.
All right.
Bro, I think he can be a culture guy because, he has Dane Campbell.
Agreed.
He's under Dane Campbell. He's a former player.
Mm-hmm.
I think what he's done with the defense, with all the injuries, has been phenomenal. He doesn't get as much attention because it's an offensive league as Ben Johnson does. But, bro, he's a big reason why they finished as the 1 seed, because that defense, every other episode was like, out for the year. And these are studs.
Mm-hmm.
These are their best players are missing time. And they were the top seed. They went 15,
weathered the storm.
15-2.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's Aaron Glenn, because also, not for nothing, bro, he didn't exactly have the greatest defensive talent to begin with anyway. Like, obviously it was Hutchinson and like Branch is dope, but he didn't really have the Niners defense where you're looking at all pro. He was already, now a lot of these guys like McNeil stepped up, Anzalone, a lot of the DBs like Robertson. So, Kirby Joseph led the league in interceptions. So, but at the time, I'm saying, like, remember what the defense outlook was coming into the year. It's not like he had the Niners. So for him to be able to do this, I think Aaron Glenn is my favorite candidate.
Yeah, I find it just hilarious that on every one of the articles that I read for all of these teams, it's Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, literally 1A, 1B. And it's like, not all of you can have him. Like, it's also, it goes back to something that I had said a while ago about like the 49ers and like the ability to keep these coaches. Like, if they make it to the Super Bowl and they lose in dramatic fashion, I find it tough that they don't try to run it back again with the Lions. Like, I don't know, because Dan Campbell just seems like that type of guy that you'd want to work for. But they've interviewed everywhere. Both these guys have interviewed everywhere. And I know I kind of went on my Pete Carroll rant. Can I give you like the second not liked coach that I feel like won't get a head coaching spot? I know you asked me who I would like.
Yeah.
I think it would just be easier to tell you that like Robert Saleh, I don't think is going to end up as a head coach again.
As a head coach, no. As a DC,
yes.
Fuck yes.
Probably back with the Niners.
Yeah.
If I had to guess.
Yeah, why not?
The reports seem pretty strong on that.
Why not? Yeah.
But yeah, his name was listed in all of these. Kellen Moore, young, offensive-minded. Would you want him, or would you want... I've seen Steve Spagnuolo's name tossed in there. as well.
You know, it's unfortunate for Spags because he became the head coach of the Rams like the year before Bradford or when they got him, young. Because I remember he was the OC, the DC for the Giants in 2007, and then he left to be, because I remember the chant at the parade was Spags don't go. Spags don't go. And he was like holding the trophy like, I'm fucking getting out of here. but I just think like, bro, listen, man, you could have an amazing career as a coordinator and make really good money. And you'll always be the guy that the fans would want to step in as a head coach if the head coach was to get fired.
Yeah.
Or to get let go. I don't think like a Spags. I would want a young offensive minded coach. If I go defense, I want him to be an Aaron Glenn, a culture guy, a guy that could change a culture around. So that's why I like Aaron Glenn a lot. And then when you look at the pieces, like I said before, I just think it's a no-brainer. Like I'll be shocked if he's not going to be a really, really good coach. The other name I would float out is Joe Brady. He's another dude who apparently he had interviewed with the Jets, but at the time he was 30 years old back in 2019. And now he's a lot older, mid-30s, but you see what he's doing with Buffalo. Now, the thing that sucks, last thing on the coaching stuff, is a lot of these teams can't really interview with these guys until they get eliminated. So if you are one of these, do you do a rush hire? Because they're like, yo, what if we want Aaron Glenn? And he's like, you know what? I think I'm gonna just stay as the DC.
Yeah.
So that's why sometimes they just rush.
I know they say they don't fully interview him, but the phone call says it all.
Yeah.
They had a 15 to 20 minute phone call that they got everything answered that they needed from these guys. I find it very interesting because, I mean, there's a lot of spots that needed to be filled this year. There was 7. So since 2015, there's been 5 head coaching spots available every single year, which is like the longest this streak has ever been. So it's happening a lot more often now. And the thing that I found to be hilarious is like the Chicago Bears have already interviewed, or on their like candidates list, I think there was 17 people listed. They've been there before. Like, isn't it funny? Like when you see teams have been there before, they haven't figured it out. They're like, no, we need to triple the amount of people that we're interviewing this next time. And to put it into perspective, the Raiders, a team now that is trying to find 2 positions, there was only 5 names listed. And I think it's partially because they have to figure out the main piece first. Like your GM means a lot. They set the foundation. Yeah. They need to be in the room. You can't hire your GM and your head coach at the same time. The GM needs to tell you, like, have some input on who the head coach is.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, bro, just look at Washington now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Washington, new owner, new GM, new head coach, new quarterback. They're chilling.
Picked in that order.
Yeah,
boom.
Picked in that order, bro. That's the best way to build. The worst situation you could be in is I have a quarterback. I don't really love him. He ain't Mahomes. He ain't a Joe Burrow. He ain't a Jalen Hurts. I have a quarterback in place, and then I'm the GM, and then I hire a coach. Well, the coach, he has an out. I didn't want this quarterback. Or the quarterback wasn't the GM's guy.
Right.
You don't want that. I'd rather just, like, if I'm going to fire 2 of the 3, I'm probably getting rid of all the 3, unless it's the player.
Mm-hmm.
If the player is good, those guys probably don't get fired also.
Facts.
So
they conform.
Yeah. Let us know what you guys think. What do you think is the best available job, and who your favorite candidates are? George, they consider this to be the best weekend in football.
Divisional round of the playoffs.
Yeah. It's the best 8 teams. Fun fact, in the AFC, it's the same 4 teams from last year. Just different matchups.
Yep.
But the same 4 teams from last year. Do you want to go in order?
Let's do it. Chronological, eh?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go with the defending champions, 2-time champs. The Kansas City Chiefs are 8.5-point favorites over the Houston Texans. Can I give you a couple of nuggets?
Go ahead.
Some playoff trends. Since 2003, home teams in the divisional round coming off a bye. What would you say the record is against the spread? Do you think it's promising? Do you think it's not?
I don't think it's promising. Straight up, I would think it's really promising. But against the spread, something tells me it's the rust is still present. Am I correct?
44% against the spread.
Yeah.
3-5 against the spread since 2020. As a favorite of 7 or more points off a bye week, those teams are 17, 24, and 1 against the spread, 42%.
That's sickening.
It's pretty rough. It's pretty rough. Now, most of these teams end up winning, like outright.
Right.
But from a spread perspective,
they ain't covering.
Rust versus rest, those debates, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this game, the Chiefs and the Texans?
I love the Chiefs. I hate the number. I went back and I watched the highlights of the Chiefs-Texans game from Week 16. That was a ball game, bro. Like, the Texans really shot themselves in the foot a lot. They had the ball in the red zone a handful of times. They had a lot of penalties called on them. And it was another one of those games that you can mark down that the Chiefs' magic was working or it was in full effect. You get Tank Dell that goes down with his torn ACL. It was that game. Before he tore his ACL, though, Tank Dell had scored a touchdown and had 90 yards receiving and was the X factor for the Texans. Since they don't have that, I've been propping up Joe Mixon a lot. He's got to have another one of those games in order to keep this remotely close. There's something that I feel, though, Nick, that it's like the playoffs, Andy Reid, Matt Nagy, they're going to draw shit up that gets them a guaranteed 30 burger. So, yeah, I would be shocked to see the Chiefs come out this weekend and be stagnant. And if it is, it's going to make me really worrisome for my futures bet that I have with them and the Rams. But how do you feel about this game going in?
I agree with you about the Chiefs. There's a part of me that thinks that they go out there and they smoke them. Mm-hmm. It could look a little shaky in the beginning, but once they knock the rust off, I love Travis Kelce in this matchup. 52 and a half yards is his receiving line. His catches are 4.5 minus 130, so you're laying a little juice. Mm-hmm. But we saw it last year, bro. Last year was one of the best takes. I said, buckle up. He's going to start going fucking crazy. And he scored a touchdown in every game but one. Mm-hmm. Cashed on his catches and his yards in every single game in the playoffs. 4 for 4. And I think that's going to happen again. And he's already been saying, I feel good. Taylor wants me to go out there and go wild. She likes watching me play. She's not pushed me to retirement yet. And I think they're going to come out and be like, yo, bro, this is what we're saving you for. We don't need you against the Jaguars and the Raiders. No, it's all right. This is what we got you. And they're going to unleash the fucking Lamborghini. So I love this matchup for him. To your point, you know, when they played earlier this year in that matchup, they lost 27-19. They actually covered that game, the Texans. But again, they're healthier now, right? They got Worthy. They got Isaiah Pacheco back, your boy. Mm-hmm. They got Hollywood Brown on defense. They got Jalen Warren back. Now him and McDuffie at corner. Playoff Spags. Chris Jones is gonna be healthy. They needed the bye week.
Yeah,
right. They needed the bye week. They got it. Andy Reid off a bye historically covers 80% of his games. Not so much in the playoffs, but he has extra time to prepare. And I think if the Texans can make it close, it has to be that defense. Like that front has to be able to create pressure. The biggest thing with the Chiefs, though, this entire year, it hasn't looked like a Mahomes season. But boy, talk about a guy that got a lot to prove, which is crazy because he's a multiple-time Super Bowl MVP, multiple-time Super Bowl champion, multiple-time regular season MVP, and he's a consensus best player in the league, but not a single AP vote, not a single MVP vote, left off list of best quarterback this year, and it could be the revenge tour. You give this guy another incentive to go out there. And the biggest thing for the Chiefs this entire year, for as bad as it might have looked offensively, his best season on third down.
Mm. Well, I mean, other seasons they weren't making it to third down, Nick.
Hey, listen, very fair, but they just know how to convert. And then, bro,
Agreed.
it's the I feel dumb theory.
Yep.
If
You
you're
don't wanna
holding
do
a
that.
ticket against them, you're like, oh, man, I feel like such a moron, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I knew this was gonna happen. Why am I against him?
Yep.
There's not a player. Him, Steph Curry, and Mbappe in soccer.
Ooh, that's a good one.
The rare times that I bet against those guys, I'm like, what a fucking idiot, bro. Curry's like 7 of 9 from 3 at halftime. Mahomes is just like, it's like, ah. And then when the game is close, you just know it's a wrap. So
Yeah.
that's how I feel about the Chiefs, man. I think they've earned the right, despite what my eyes are telling me watching the games, they've earned the right to cruise through the regular season. And I think they're going to come out, and I think they're going to take care of business. I think they put up a lot of points in this game. They're healthy, which is what matters the most. And you just have that pedigree, bro. You have the pedigree. And I think this game could get ugly because Spags is going to be able to take away either Collins or Mixon.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, come on, bro. Show Robert Woods, you still got it? Let's see.
Dalton Schultz.
Dalton Schultz.
Better pop off.
Better pop off, bro. Because that's what I think they do.
I agree with you. I had somebody in our Instagram comments, I had mentioned the phrase that Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, best 1-2 combo in NFL history. And they were like, in NFL history? The comment said. And I was like, okay, let me really think about this right now. Like, are we propping up this like combo because of their playoff success, or do you really feel that Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes are the best 1-2 combo that we've seen in the NFL?
Regular season also, or do you mean just playoff? Because
I would say in total.
in total,
It has to be in total.
this is tough.
I know, dude. And this is why when I was typing my response back to this guy, Chris Moreham, by the way.
Shouts to Chris Moorhan.
Shout out to Chris. I
that's
was
bro.
like, I stand by what I said. Like, because I just think about all the crazy cool moments that these two have had. For our listeners at home, they're probably like, how are these guys forgetting about Rob Gronkowski and Tom Brady? That's one. Joe Montana and Jerry Rice is really the only other one playoff-wise that could come close to touching that. There's a good chance this year, Nick, if Travis Kelce goes off in the playoffs, he'll lead NFL history in receiving yards. He's 343 yards away from that. He needs 4 receiving touchdowns to get ahead of Jerry Rice in both of those categories. And he's got more than 5 receptions in 14 straight playoff games, which is already the longest streak by any player in the playoffs. He's like right there. Like his name is etched in history as the most, the best. Is he, along with Patrick Mahomes, the best 1-2 combo in NFL history?
Bro, it's...
Do we save this for an episode in the offseason?
No, I mean, we could revisit it too when we're more prepared for it. But like,
Yeah.
I'll tell you the God's honest truth. My mind went to 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
Brady and Edelman in the playoffs. Like, I'm talking about just playoffs. Like
Yep.
those dudes together in the playoffs were fucking insane, bro.
Agreed.
They won 3 Super Bowls together, 118 catches, 1,400 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 19 career playoff games. And also, you need to factor in a lot of that shit was in big moments, and he was the go-to guy for him. My mind went to Marvin Harrison Sr. and Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I just remember like playing Madden and shit, play action, PA streaks, boom, play action, deep ball to 88. That's where my mind went to first. Cause like, yo, Montana and Rice, I just pulled it up now as you were talking.
Mm-hmm.
He actually had more success with Steve Young. He played longer with Steve Young.
Got
so
it.
Montana and Rice, 6,700 yards they connected for 67 touchdowns. Whereas with Steve Young, he has 780 catches, 11,462 yards, and 119 touchdowns. Holy shit, that's crazy too.
Yeah.
But fuck, man, it's hard to. I think the longevity, they've only been together for 6 years, 7 years. That could be something. But man, come playoff time, it's hard to argue against it. But my mind went to those two
For sure.
in particular.
Yeah, it's they're for sure on the Mount Rushmore of the duos. There's no question about that. And who knows, another crazy playoff run here. I know he had a very quiet first game, Cooper Kupp, but Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford, if they go back and he starts playing like how Cooper Kupp should play, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll get to that one a little bit because there's a lot to break down in that game.
Yeah.
Also, weather's going to play a huge factor in that.
I know.
But bro, for me, in this game, do you have any plays? Like, is one of your themed picks on here? Because mine is.
Yeah, I have 2 theme picks for this one.
Okay, talk to me.
No, just one. Mahomes over under rushing total was set at 24.5. The first time they played week 16 this year, he had 5 rushes for 33 yards. And I actually saw in the highlights as I was watching it back, he got all 33 of those yards before halftime. Like he was running the ball early in that game. So I'm imagining he's going to do a lot of the same stuff here. I love it. Mahomes over 24.5 rushing totals is my trust me.
Okay. In this economy,
Mm-hmm.
plus 115 parlay, Kelce, 52.5 yards, 5.5 catches.
Love it.
Yeah. I mean, bro, he could have that in the first half.
Agreed.
Vintage Travis Kelce over the middle.
Yeah.
Here we go, Jim.
Right?
I can see, bro, they're going to do it. They're going to unleash him.
We're going to put
It's
him
gonna be
over here in the
crazy.
slot.
Yeah. Like, that's what I think. So in this economy for me, Kelce and yards and catches plus 115. If I had to pick a side in this, if you just look at the history of the Chiefs, like we've said in the past, you just always, if they're under a field goal or an underdog, you bet them. If they're over a touchdown or more, you fade them. And I think the 8.5 is very, very intriguing. That is a big number.
Yeah. I
would lean towards that.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking the Texans. If I was going to play it, but I'm just going to play the props in this game. But yeah, you got to. Especially if you go back and you watch the highlights from the Week 16 matchup, which I think is rather indicative. Like it's late enough in the season to be like, that's pretty much your legitimate team. You know, not saying that the Chiefs at that moment in time were playing for anything other than to prove to the world that they weren't trash and that they weren't the luckiest team in the world. It was the first week that they had Hollywood Brown. So like there was a lot of pieces being used in that game that are going to be shown here this upcoming weekend. And that game, like I'm telling you, if the Texans don't fuck up in the red zone, they had the ball in the goal line twice, and they had penalties that moved them back out of the goal line or at range to kick a field goal. So yeah, I found one other thing interesting from this one. The over-under opened at 42.5. If it stays under 43.5, this will be the lowest total ever that Patrick Mahomes has had in a playoff game. So I don't think Vegas is backing the Chiefs offense. I think they're fading it. So if there's any week to maybe hit the over, it'd be this week.
I apologize. All in Chiefs.
Yeah.
It's going to be 24 degrees. Dome teams in the divisional round playing outdoors. 2-7 against the spread, losing by more than 10 points. In particular, the Texans. In the last 20 years, a dome team that plays outdoors in sub 30 degrees. It's happened 9 times, 2-7 against the spread. That was them. CJ Stroud in his career, the biggest underdogs. 10-point underdog to the Ravens, lost 34-10. 9.5-point underdog last year, lost 25-9 to the Ravens again. And now, if it closes at 8.5 in the divisional round, just a team that struggles outdoors. Texans are 0-2 straight up and against the spread. in CJ Stroud career games outdoors under 35 degrees. And in those games, it was against the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens.
I even know one from CJ Stroud's college career against Michigan. It was a
Ooh.
snow game. I would, if you could double check me on that, that would be like amazing. But CJ Stroud at Ohio State, I think it was the 2019 year, maybe it was 2021. I'm forgetting when this really happened. I mean, Ohio State hasn't beat Michigan in a long time, but I recall that one being a fucking blizzard. And so CJ Stroud, it's just don't bet against or don't bet with him and bad weather.
Shit, man. The only ones I could find are him in the NFL.
NFL?
Yeah.
Got you.
Yo, and hold
Take
on.
my word for it.
Ready for this? Ready for this?
Yeah.
The other quarterback, cold weather success, 32 degrees or colder, 11-4 against the spread is Pat Mahomes.
He loves it.
He loves it. Yeah. Yeah, I switched. Let's go with Kansas City minus 8.5. I'll make that Becky.
Wow.
Yeah, Becky won last week.
True.
Becky won last week.
True.
We were on the Bills -9. So
They took care of
they
business.
won. Yeah, Chiefs. All in Chiefs.
All right.
All in Chiefs.
Good.
Okay, next game.
Yes.
Is it fair to say you're Detroit Lions?
Oh, no. Don't say you're Detroit Lions, bro. I'm over it. Ever since Jay Griggs was on the show, it really started my anti-Lions. This isn't actually their year train. And it's causing a lot of stress in my house, Nick. I can't talk about being anti-Lions around the lady anymore. She's like, you got to stop doing that. You know the Lions are better than the Rams, right? You know the Lions are going to make it to the Super Bowl. And I'm like, all right, hey, just sit back and watch. It's going to be a cinema. Go back and watch Monday's episode if you want to get filled in. It's going to be a cinema. And I do want the Lions to win this weekend. I think they're probably going to crush the Commanders. I don't really see a way for them to stop the run. I know I had mentioned that they were a little banged up. Frankie Louvu, who plays next to Bobby Wagner, he played pretty solid against the Buccaneers, but the Commanders are the second worst team in the league against the run. So Jahmyr Gibbs, possibly David Montgomery. You know, he had that little video where he's back. There's no chance in hell that Ben Johnson puts Jared Goff in a bad spot to not just hand the ball off. I think the Commanders know exactly what's coming and they won't be able to stop it. What do you think about this one?
So I want to ask you the same thing I asked you about the Broncos last week. What do you make of the Commanders? Because Detroit, when they play at home as big favorites this year, they're 3-0 against the spread. And just historically, right, we know about Dan Campbell, 64% as a head coach in his career against the spread. The winning percentage is the best of any coach with a minimum of 30 games in the Super Bowl era. Lions this year, just money. Golf, 15-4 straight up at home. Offense is averaging 32 points. The duo of Goff and Campbell, when facing teams scoring 24 or more points in the season, they are 18-2-1 against the spread. I just think that a lot of times what happens is you overreact to a big win in wild card weekend from a team, especially it's the standalone. It's the greatest rookie season ever for a quarter. Is he the best rookie? Teddy Bruschi's like, best rookie I've ever seen. Now they play the Lions, the current Super Bowl favorite at plus 270 to win the Super Bowl still. I just think Detroit jumps out to a lead, and then they could ground and pound with Sonic and Hedgehog or whatever they call the Sonic and Knuckles, I think is the running back duo.
Yeah.
And that place is going to be fucking loud. I just like fading the team off a win like the Commanders had.
I agree with you. And it was an amazing run, right? Like, if we are wrong on Jaden Daniels, Nick, we are in the presence of who's going to be added to the mix for the next 5 years. Not saying that we don't already think that the Commanders are in it, but if Jaden Daniels gets this win, he puts himself in, oh, you're a top 5 quarterback in the league. And there's no question about it. If you're winning in clutch time moments, let me be the fool if that happens. But it is not going to. You guys will witness a Lions team that brings a lot of pressure. They're going to get after Jaden Daniels. They're going to try to make Jaden beat him with his feet. And that wears on a young kid.
Yeah, man. I just also think I agree with you. And I also think that Washington got every break last week. They didn't punt.
It was a perfect game.
Yeah. And check this out, right? This is from Action Network. You want to hear something crazy? Teams with 2 punts or less in their last playoff game, who are 6-point underdogs or more the following week, 0-8 straight up. 2002. I just think that there's a lot of hype. Put it to you this way. This could be a borderline or Ursulita for the Lions, like saying Ursulita minus 9.5 because of how much hype Washington is getting and the Jaden Daniels aura. And it could be what you said, where he wins this game. You're like, holy shit, he's a top 5 best quarterback in the NFC. You'll start having that conversation too. I just think that the matchups are also pretty wicked in favor of the Lions.
Yeah.
Laporta could go crazy. St. Brown. I love Jamison Williams plus 215 anytime touchdown. You'll hear him in a little bit. Yeah, man. I just think that it's going to be a rough place to go play. I like the Lions minus 9.5.
Yeah, that's definitely my play. I'll bring up another over-under stat for this one because I'm a fan of the under. Although the over-under is set super high, this one's at 55.5. In playoff games between a number 1 seed and a number 6 seed, the under is 19-5, 79% over the last 20 years, going under by a total of 6 points per game. So they did break down like the outdoor to indoor ratio. This is an indoor game, which leans more towards the over, but something just tells me that since the Commanders' run defense has played so bad, and the Lions have to be smart here, okay? If you're a great team and you're the Super Bowl favorite, I'm not showing you all my chips. I'm going to save my creative, fancy-dancy shit for the next week in order to get myself to the real one. So I think they can sit on a lot of their plays that would be considered the big shot plays, especially if they get out to an early 21-3 or 21-7 lead. Like, why would you show anything? And then you're for sure just going to be running the ball. I imagine this one, it'll come close to the 55.5, but that's my Ursulita pick is the under in this game.
Okay. I'm very excited for this next one.
Let's go.
Eagles, Rams.
Let's go.
Have you seen the forecast?
Well, you kind of like hinted at it a second ago. It's about to be fucking snowing. No.
A lot of snow in Philly,
no.
bro. A lot of snow. Early weather reports say it could look like a blizzard out there. Wind, precipitation, freezing temperatures. You have a LA team coming east to play. I think Philly knocked off the cobwebs.
Mm-hmm.
At least I'm hoping for the future that I have. Last time these two teams played, Saquon Barkley cashed in our offensive player of the year bet because he had 250 plus yards, scored multiple touchdowns. It was a Sunday night football game. Now, this is my trust me of the week. Eagles -6. Even before the weather, I was saying to myself, George, how is it that when these two teams played, the Eagles were 2.5-point favorites in LA? Now they're at home. They're 6-point favorites, and it's going to be a fucking blizzard.
Fishy.
Yeah. Is it toxic? Because for me, it's my trust me. I'm on Philly. I would love, and bro, trust me.
Yeah.
I would love to be wrong and have the Rams win outright and Detroit wins outright.
Yep.
My heart will be rooting for that because the social media clips are going to be coming back. It was the cinema parlay plus 300 Lions and the Rams money line. But man, all things considered, they rank at the bottom of the league in rushing yards, 103.8. The LA Rams, they had 314 rushing yards against them. This one, Barkley had 255, like we said. It's hard for me not to take that, bro, with the weather. I'm going with that. I think this game could get really ugly. Even though Stafford is a cold weather quarterback, even though Stafford, check this out. Ever since he got to the Rams, December, January, February, 18-3 straight up. Dude wins when it matters.
Mm-hmm.
He wins. And they're one of the hottest teams too, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at the arguably two hottest teams in the NFC. They're 10-3 since they were 1-4.
Yeah.
They got hot. And then you have Philly. So if the weather wasn't the case, if the weather was going to be fine, I'd be on the Rams.
Do you think the line moves if the weather changed? Like, do you think it would be like a 4-point spread?
No, I mean, look.
Do you think it's going to stay at 6 regardless? I mean, I know the weather's not going to change, and it is what it is, but
No, I think if anything, it'll maybe get to 7. Maybe get to 7. But right now you have 55% of the bets and the money on the Rams. But if you just look at it, teams just blindly take a big number in the playoffs.
Nick, everything you're bringing up for the weather, it's like, bro, both teams are playing in the fucking weather. And if you're going to say, okay, you put me in a snowstorm, and I do know that the Eagles' best facet of their team is the run game. What is shown most in heavy weather games? The run. But when I know that that's all you're really doing, like Jalen Hurts could barely throw the ball last week, and it was perfect weather. What's going to happen when it's a wet ball and the wind's blowing?
Bro, you know what's hilarious? Anytime I would take a team, like if I was on the Rams, I would make this case. Like, yo, if I was on the Rams, I'd be like, hey, man, the Eagles also got to play in there. But, yo, you're absolutely right. You're
Correct.
100% right, because that would always be my take. Like,
Right.
Bro, you know it sucks when it's 12 degrees, regardless if you're fucking from there or not. It's trash. So I feel you, right? Like I remember one of my favorite bets, and it happened recently. We were in Vegas for it, but the Bengals played the Bills, and there were 6-point underdogs in Buffalo, and it was snowing. And everyone was saying, oh, Buffalo in the snow, Buffalo in the snow. Cincinnati, yeah, it get colder, but not like this, right? And I was just saying to myself, like, yo, bro, it's going to be cold for Josh Allen and them too.
Yeah.
So I love that you brought it up, and I know I'm being silly, but also I'm being serious, because like
For sure.
if I was on the Rams, I'd be like, dude, you know it's cold either way, right?
Yeah,
You know
they still got to play.
yeah.
By the way, this is going to happen again in the history of this show, and it's just we're going to have this running joke now. Every time we bring up the weather.
Are you on the favorite, the team that's at home? Yeah, all right. So the weather, it's cold, bro.
Yeah.
Now it's cold. But if you're on the underdog, the dome team coming out, you're like, oh, bro, it's cold. Like if we were on the
playing in
Texans,
the same weather.
we'd be saying, hey, it's going to be 26 degrees when the Chiefs are out there too.
Facts.
That's hilarious. But yeah, for me, man, like in this game, I'm going trust me, Philly -6. I think it could definitely get ugly. And like, yo, let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Are the Lions and the Rams that good, or did the Vikings play that bad? Because I do feel like both of them, their numbers are overinflated because of those games. Like, you know, the Lions defense, is it back? Because Sam Darnold just missed a shitload of throws. And then the Rams sacked Sam Darnold 9 times last week. Like, bro, Joe Burrow was able to surpass that when they went into Tennessee and he got sacked 9 times when they went on their Super Bowl run. But that's an anomaly, bro. Like, he was the first quarterback ever to get sacked more than 7 times and win a game in the playoffs. I believe it was, and especially in the divisional round. So that's my question to you. Do you think the Rams and the Lions are that good defensively, or was it the Vikings just played like shit those last 2 weeks?
The Vikings played like shit those last 2 weeks.
That's kind of where I'm leaning to.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought it up, but I mean, I'm riding with the momentum. You know, you need a tune-up game. To have a tune-up game as your last game before you go into a playoff matchup that's of high significance. Yeah, that's fine. Give me the fucking Vikings every year to start the playoffs, whether they're, you know, good or bad. I know this is the way they're going to perform. They played like shit. The Rams, yeah, I really do think the Eagles will get off to a slow enough start that'll make this game interesting. Like, I don't think the Eagles run away with the game. Like, I think this comes down to can Stafford take the boys down the field with 2 minutes left? I'll live with that.
And yo, check this out, bro. Talking about Stafford. He's won 5 straight games outright as an underdog.
This year.
Yeah.
Right?
Right
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
Like, as an underdog.
His underdog stats are hilarious, by the way, because his entire career he played with the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah.
So it's like, as an underdog, but when he came to the Rams, it was actually good.
Yeah. But sure, that's context too. Because if you look at it, it's historically one of the worst quarterbacks as an underdog. But to your point, they were always 9-point underdogs when he was in Detroit. But check this out, right? Last one here. Super Bowl winning quarterbacks as underdogs since 2003 are 71% against the spread in the playoffs.
It's amazing. You got to take that. You got to take that, people. You take the 6 points. It's snowing.
So you're on the Rams?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Friendly wager like last time? You still owe me a coffee, you fuck.
I thought it evened out. I didn't get a coffee from the last bet we got.
Damn, you're right.
It was the last week of the season, too.
Yeah, it was Vikings and Lions.
All right, so now this one is for a Trenta-sized.
This one's for an actual coffee. Like, we got to get.
Yes.
Yeah, and we got witnesses in the studio, too. We actually need to do the coffee.
It is my, in this economy pick, is the Rams money line.
Whoa.
So
ballsy. Plus 295. I like it. A little shake over there.
A little shake?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. Might trust me against here in this economy. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's see. All right. Last game on the menu. Holy shit. This game is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Bills, Ravens, potentially Bills, Chiefs from a couple of years ago, potential.
Yep.
Like, I just said potential twice in the same sentence. That's how fired up I am.
That's how much potential there is.
Yeah. Hashtag potential. George, I went into this breakdown saying to myself, I think I'm going to back whoever the underdog is in this spot. And the line has swung 2 points since they opened it. They opened it Buffalo -2. Now they're 1 point underdogs. Consensus right now is a pick 'em in many places. You have 53% of the bets are coming in on the Ravens. 61% of the money is coming in on Baltimore. This is a rematch from earlier this year where the Ravens violated the Bills. Derrick Henry on his first snap took it, I think, 90 yards.
Yep.
Oh, definitely over 80. Two teams that want to run the football and two teams that have quarterbacks that the run opens up a lot of shit for them. This is an unbelievable matchup. Dare I say, ready? Dom, clip this. Your Super Bowl winner is in this matchup. I think whoever wins between Rams and Buffalo will not only go to the Super Bowl, they'll go to the Super Bowl and they'll win it. And that's how I feel about this. The matchup between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, this is the rubber match.
Yep. I love it.
They're 2-2, heads up.
Yep.
Two teams that can't get over the Chiefs. But in order to get to where they want to get to, they got to go through each other first. And then they go to play Kansas City if we're going chalk. This is an unbelievable matchup. Lamar opens up as an underdog. He is 17-3 against the spread in his career. The Buffalo Bills have lost their last 2 divisional round games at home. They lost to Kansas City last year, and they lost the year before to the Cincinnati Bengals. So I say that because be careful if you run with that take of, oh, the Bills are at home. They've shit the bed the last 2 years over there. I don't know what to make of this game, though, bro.
Yeah, I mean, we could sit here and we can try to nitpick like any spots on either team that really could be exploited. I think the Ravens have the better offense to the Bills' defense. I can't say the same about the Bills' offense to the Ravens' defense, but I like the underdog in this matchup. Like a home underdog. I missed it last week with the Texans. I don't want to miss it 2 weeks in a row. Because I know you had highlighted that they had definitely lost. I don't think the Bills' home field advantage will really kick in until they get their new stadium. And then I think that place will be a fucking nightmare to play in. There's just something about old Buffalo right now that is so plagued with heartbreak that they need a new scenery or new setting to reset the course for their franchise. There was one stat that I found to be extremely interesting. So the Bills struggle when their opponents score more than 21 points. Since 2022, when their opponents score more than 21 points, Buffalo is just 4-22 against the spread, which is the worst against the spread mark for any team in the NFL. During that same span, the Ravens are 9-12-2, for example. But do you think that the Ravens are going to score more than 21 points? I think that that's a fucking lock. I don't know if they can keep up, Nick. I said this at the beginning, like pros and cons for the Bills to make it to the Super Bowl. My cons was Keon Coleman. You're going to have to make a catch in a big time moment. Don't fucking drop it. This is the game. This will be it. It'll be on the final possession. It'll be a 2-minute drive, hopefully. Sunday night football. Can Josh Allen get it done? And it'll be like a 15-yard out route. And the Bills have no timeouts. And Keon Coleman, you have to catch that. And you have to step out of bounds. Like that, I could just envision it right now. That this game's going to come down to the very end. But I got to take the home dog in this. I have to.
Yep. I want to ask you this question. Ravens defense, second half of the year, last 6 games, much improved. Mm-hmm. Way better. The defense is coming along. Is it? Here are the quarterbacks they played.
Oh, jeez.
Whoever the fuck played for the Giants, I couldn't even tell you, bro. I couldn't even tell you.
That week was a blur.
Russell Wilson, CJ Stroud, whoever the fuck the Browns were playing, and then Russell Wilson again. Mind you, Russell Wilson on the fucking quick decline that he was going on. Now you got Josh Allen coming with this offense.
Yeah.
Now it's way different. So is this defense that good? Or did they benefit from playing kind of trash quarterbacks? And now you got the potential MVP. You got MVP versus MVP here. I think this love affair for the Ravens defense is being blown way out of proportion because the times that they played Joe Burrow put up 38 and 34, playing a top tier quarterback, I'm saying. And look, they played Buffalo earlier in the year, and that's when Josh Allen looked pedestrian. He looked awful.
Right.
It was also in Baltimore. Jumped out to an early lead. So I think I'm taking the dog in this spot, and I don't think the Ravens defense is as good as people are making it out to be. I think they could be exposed. I think Stevens, number 21, is food, whoever he's on. If I knew for a fact he's going to be on Coleman props over. Because he was being attacked last week, even with the Steelers. It's like, oh, bro, wherever 21 is, we're throwing at him. So I always like to add context to everything. I think the Ravens have had an amazing season. I think Lamar is the MVP. I think he should win it. I don't want him to because I'm financially invested.
Right.
But the last thing with this, what's unfortunate is someone has to lose and someone on Monday is going to get torn apart by mainstream media for losing. And it sucks. And the biggest handicap in this is what we always talk about with Josh Allen. When it's a big game, when it's a big spot, I think the only game I could think of off the top of my head that he didn't play well in was the Bengals game in the playoffs. Outside of that, I would bet my money that he is going to not be the reason why his team loses. And I'd have to go back and rewatch that. I don't know if guys were dropping the ball or whatnot, but he shows up in big games and like there's still a jury out on Lamar Jackson. So I'm leaning towards the home dog in Buffalo. And if the line swings back +2 Ravens, it's a different take. I'm taking whoever the dog is going to be right before kickoff, and I'm hoping it's Buffalo.
Yeah. Yeah. They have to. It's crazy. For a game that gets this much action, they can't make it a pick 'em. You feel that?
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't be profitable for the book?
Yeah, probably not. I would say no.
Yeah.
I would say no.
It should be.
Should MVP voters wait until this game to determine who wins it?
Yeah, they should.
Yeah,
True.
it's a regular season.
How often do you get that?
Yeah, no, that's true.
Usually you get it. I feel like maybe we've seen it in the Super Bowl matchup, but then by that point in time,
it's already been
announced.
Yeah.
You aren't going to get any sort of situation like this that'll ever appear. I don't think for the near future.
Yeah.
So
Buffalo. Are we on the
Buffalo?
Bills?
Give me them.
Yeah.
Give me.
Listen, I'll just run through my picks.
Mm-hmm.
Ursulita for me was Lions -9.5. In this economy, Travis Kelce 52.5 yards over with 5.5 catches over +115. Trust me, Eagles -6. Becky is Chiefs -8.5. And I'll end up betting it, but I think the toxic one might be this Ravens and Bills game. I'll take the dog, but I wouldn't be surprised either way. Like, I really think this game should be a pick 'em. So I'm taking the dog in this scenario. What do you got?
So, starting off with my Ursula pick, I got under 55.5 in the Commanders versus Lions. My favorite pick of the week, Becky, Bills money line. Trust me for this week, Mahomes over 24.5 rushing yards. In this economy, the Rams money line. And the toxic one for me is the Lions -9.5.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to do a anytime touchdown parlay score? Yo, can I tell you this? You know what I want to do? I want to run it back from last week, bro.
Hit it.
I want to run back the same exact parlay from last week with the running backs.
So this week, Mixon, Henry, Barkley, and Cook.
Yep. You get a better number. You get 11-1.
Oh my!
We're doing it again. We're running it back. We went 3 for 4 last week. We're running it back. Henry, Cook, Mixon, Barkley. We're wearing a different T-shirt, so you guys can't say that we're just circling the same video, resurfacing, I should say, the same video. We're doing it. Mixon, Cook, Henry, Barkley, all to score touchdowns. You get plus 1050. A running back parlay.
Do one where you toss Gibbs in there.
19-1.
Yeah.
That's good.
I like that.
That's good. Can I give you a pass catcher one? Which, by the way, last week got very close. Only Amari Cooper didn't get it. Travis Kelce.
Love it.
AJ Brown.
Ooh.
You know I love when a guy has one catch to then bet him over the next week.
Yeah. And remember,
even with the snow.
It was against the Rams that kind of course corrected. Remember, he had that shit at the beginning of this year.
Yep.
And then that very next game, he went off on Monday Night Football against the Rams. So he's one catch, reading a book on the sideline. The next week scores a touchdown. I love it.
A.J. Brown, Jamison Williams, Travis Kelce, and Khalil Shakir.
Ooh.
You like that one?
Yeah, I was not expecting
That one got you a little excited. Yeah,
I was not
was
expecting
great.
that one.
40-1.
That's crazy.
Travis Kelce.
I figured that one would be higher.
Yeah. Travis Kelce, Shakir, Jamison Williams, and A.J. Brown. 40-1. Lock them up.
Put them in.
Lock them up.
That's it.
Thank you all for listening to another episode of Veterans Minimum. At Nick Dais Tenders, you can find me. Thank you for the support. Continued support for this show. Hit us up on Discord. Hit us up on Twitter, the Facebook, the Instagram, the TikTok. Follow us at Veterans Minimum. George, the floor is yours.
Dude, at Mr. George Carmona is where you could find me. You could also find me on my couch this weekend because it's the best show that you're going to be able to get to start off 2025, not to mention Saturday night being capped off with that UFC card. It's going to be perfect.
And dude, Monday, by the way, national championship.
It doesn't get any better.
It's a good weekend. Good sports weekend.
Just don't leave your house this weekend.
Yeah.
That's my recipe to you. And while you're not leaving, go ahead, follow all the people that we told you to follow. And that's it from me.
See you guys next time.
How about them Chiefs?
Element.